It's my pleasure to introduce, back in Britain from the United States, ladies and gentlemen, Dusty Springfield. Why are you wearing that veil? Are you in mourning because you're being interviewed by me?
No, I'm in mourning because of all the dates we had to cancel in the provinces.
I know, I read about that.
I went to the funeral. This is my funeral attire, to cover my shame.
I mean, why was it you didn't sell enough tickets is what it amounted to?
That's really what it's about. The point is that when you go out on a tour, you present yourself on a tour, you give people a choice. They either want to come or they don't want to come, and I hereby want to say that it was not my idea to cancel the dates, and the London ones are still on. But I want to say to the people who booked here and in Manchester, if you all come down to Drury Lane, I'll give you a big hug and a kiss afterwards. And for those people who weren't interested in booking tickets, they can sit on it, actually.
But why do you think it happened, Dusty? I mean, is it simply because people haven't heard you sing for so long, or is it because music styles change as the years go by?
I think I'll take this off now.
Yes, I wish you would. It's bothering me.
Yeah.
Let me just put it down here. Because the pop world is notoriously fickle.
Well, yes, but fickle. The last time I did a tour in the provinces was about, heavens, 8 years ago, so you can't expect to come waltzing back from Los Angeles and expect people to remember. Yeah. You have to be more visible. I think we sort of learned our lesson, being myself and the promoters. You can't just do that. You know, it's odd, though, because it worked in London. Drury Lane is sort of almost sold out. And for some reason it didn't work in Manchester, and it didn't work in Birmingham, and it didn't work in Bristol, and it didn't work blah, 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 blah.
You see, you committed the sin of actually quitting the business for a while. So, I mean, you can't really expect to come back at the same level of popularity. A comeback is always tougher.
I don't expect to. I expect to come back at a different level, you know, in a different place. And that takes some time to achieve. The point is that I'm sure if people have jobs that they become increasingly bored with, if they don't have the responsibilities of a family to look after, if you get cheesed off enough, you're going to stop and try and find another job. But that's not allowed if you're a singer. And it was a decision that was very hard for me to make, and I didn't make it lightly.
And is that why you quit? Because you were bored?
It was because I didn't enjoy it anymore, and I don't have a family to support, and I have 3 cats to support, but cat food isn't that much. And so I felt that it was wise for me to just stop for a while, yeah.
I used to be a roving reporter traveling around the country 7 days a week, and I used to rattle up and down on railway trains and look out at night over the lights of towns and sometimes think, what on earth am I doing this for? What a lousy way to make a living. And I read a newspaper interview where you said precisely that, exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it is an odd feeling. But I know I've learned enough about myself to know that as I used to sit going to Blackpool, going to Bolton, going wherever I was, it seemed to be every Sunday, that I would look in those windows and wish that I were in there having my tea, 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon. And then I knew that if I had been in there having my tea, I'd want to be on the train. So
you need the excitement anyhow.
Yeah, I really am a perverse person.
Is that why you moved to Los Angeles? Did you think that would give you the kind of excitement you couldn't find here?
Well, I was brought up on a steady diet of Hollywood films, like so many of us, and the era that I was brought up in, there were a lot of old 20th Century Fox musicals, and they were all part of my dream to go to Los Angeles, because that's where it was happening. I never intended to be a movie star or anything like that. It's just that I wanted to be there. I'm crazy about New York, but since the center of the recording industry is now in Los Angeles, and my management was there, it didn't seem like a bad idea at the time.
And was it like the movies? I mean, did it fulfill your expectations?
No, it's actually just, they call it a dream factory, and it is. It's a series of factories in which they make things for us to look at. It's a very quiet city. People seem to be asleep by 11 o'clock every night. I mean, I always thought it would be a wild place to live. It's actually very, very quiet. It's very pleasant, but it's just that you can't go out in the street and say taxi, and you can't get a bus. Everywhere, they don't have any real transport system. So everywhere you have to drive, and the distances are quite acute. I mean, people, you can drive 30 miles to go to the supermarket, you know.
Oh, right. I once got a bus from one end of Los Angeles to the other. It took 4 hours.
Oh, I believe it.
Just getting across town.
I know.
Because it's really 7 towns, isn't it, rolled into one?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's tiny little cities. They call an area like West Bromwich a city, you know, and city after city after city it runs in, and it's 31 miles long by 40 miles wide, which looks wonderful from an aeroplane, incidentally, at night.
Yeah. The starburst.
Yeah, it's a real fairyland.
It's funny, I mean, we tend to think of it as being a free and easy lifestyle. I wonder why it is that it tends to go to sleep so early, because you're quite right, it does do that.
I think it comes from the days in the beginning of making films when, I mean, if you've got to get up at 4:30 to have a 5 o'clock call to put your face on for a film, you're not liable to be up all night. So the whole thing just closes down fairly early.
So it was the Hollywood syndrome there.
Yeah, they've never got over it, you know,
Yes.
even though filmmaking has moved elsewhere now.
It's funny, I once was chatting to Ray Milland, you know, who's quite an elderly man now, but was one of the great heartthrobs in the golden days of Hollywood. And I said to him, what a life you must have led, you know, when you were the big face on the screen. And he said, I only went out once a week on a Saturday night.
Yes.
He said I was up at 5 o'clock every morning to go to work.
Yeah, you can't survive, and I mean, there are people who try to do both, live that kind of life and play at the same time, but eventually catches up with them.
So what about your lifestyle? Is it a fast and zany lifestyle out there? Or what do you do? What do you do for leisure?
For leisure, I like to eat. It's a major problem. I like food very much. I like to explore new restaurants. It's always a battle of the bulge with me, to struggle to keep in shape. Because my idea of a good night is to go out with pleasant company and really find a good restaurant. And I don't very much like to go to parties. I never have. I went through one period of my life where I was a party girl, but I got over that.
Yeah, because those Los Angeles parties are anything but free and easy. They're very regimented, aren't they? Everything has to be absolutely right.
Yes, they're either very status conscious. I mean, you wear a pair of jeans. They say, come dress California casual, means you probably paid $500, which is $250 for your outfit, to look as though you're dressed in a pair of blue jeans. And everybody checks out exactly what you're wearing. And they're all very insecure, and they all feel they've got to do everything exactly right, whereas over here we don't care because we've been here longer, you know. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we don't have to put those pretensions up that they do there. They're very, very insecure.